Hi and welcome to our 5-color deck tech video for Marina Vendrell. This deck list has been built by Josh from PUNT podcast. Link in the description below of the video. I may have come with some suggestions for him and some small inputs, but the majority work has been made by Josh. Now, when Marina Vendrell enters the battlefield, reveal the top 7 cards of your library, put all enchantment cards from among them into your hand and the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. And then she has an activated tap ability, lock or unlock a door or target room you control, activate only as a sorcery. So the natural path here could be something like enchantment tribal, and also the new concept of room, so to say. However, this is not the approach we have taken. We have looked into enchantments that are individually good on their own. You could call them good stuff, basically, and chosen a basic Grixis pathway. So the key 3 are Undual Breach, Necrodominance, and Necropotence. This means that we're basically playing the Brain Freeze, Lion's Eye Diamond, Undual Breach combo that finishes itself off with a Thassa's Oracle. Of course, Thassa's Oracle also, we're playing Tainted Pact and Demonic Consultation. And of course, Sevin's Reclamation, and there it is, Intuition. A great package for the Undual Breach combo, basically. And for the Necropotence package of Necrodominance and Necropotence together, we're including Valley Floodcaller, Born Upon a Wind, Final Fortune, and we even have Crop Rotation and Emergency Zone. This means that at this moment, instead of saying enchantment stuff, you could basically say 5-color Grixis with Necropotence and Undual Breach. Focus. But then we're adding in individual enchantments that are going to be okay and good on their own, that don't require the commander whatsoever to function, and just to increase the count so that if the commander is being played, there's a chance to draw into some of them. The view of this commander is a burst speed card draw effect for 5 mana. For example, we have a Carpet of Flowers, we have a Compost, Copy Artifact, which is basically just a mana rock. This is like hitting your Fellower Stone. Dance of Many is a copy effect or a clone effect. You can make this come into play as a Dockside Extortionist. Perfect. Dress Down is a really good enchantment, individually good on its own. Kenriff's Transformation is a spot removal and a cantrip. Steel Enchantment is actually quite good, considering a lot of people are tutoring for that Rustic Study and sometimes even Smothering Tide. Speaking of which, we have the Tide in here as well. Of course, as well as Rustic Study, these two have already been mentioned. Mystic Remora, Leyline of Anticipation, Sylvan Library, Touch the Spirit Realm, which is mostly, or kind of always, used as a spot removal with a channel ability. Discard the Touch of the Spirit Realms, exile target artifact or creature, return it to the battlefield on its owner's control at the beginning for the next end step. You can flicker your own Dockside Extortionist with this also, by the way. Already mentioned Breach, Utopia Sprawl, and Wild Growth are basically 2 different enchantment mana dorks. So we're trying to include as many individually good enchantments on their own, but we're not building into an enchantment tribal. But we have a little bit more enchantment to increase density and increase hit. Urza Saga is actually an enchantment, as well as Destiny Spinner that's gonna make creatures and enchantment spells you control can't be countered, so people can't counterspell the Dockside Extortionist. And also, they can't counterspell your Undual Breach. We're also playing Sytis the Harvest Hand, that is also an enchantment, and whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain 1 life and you draw a card. This is actually going to be good when you're getting your Necropotence, because increasing your life will increase the cards you can draw. But then it's typical CEDH business as usual. We have Bloom Tender, it's really good if you have your commander in play. Suddenly Bloom Tender taps for 5 mana. Elvish Spirit Guide and Simian Spirit Guide, Esper Sentinel, Flesh Duplicate, Grand Abolisher, and Hullbreaker Horror. Because if you're infinitely flickering this commander, you can basically find your Undual Breach, your Necropotence quite easily. Beshidi Mirror is a great tutor for Necropotence and potentially Undual Breach. Culling Ritual, great ritual. Board Wipe, Demonic Tutor. Eldritch Evolution. With Eldritch Evolution in your commander, you can actually find Hullbreaker Horror quite easily. We have Gamble, great when you're playing Undual Breach, as well as Rite of Flame. Chain of Vapor is an amazing ritual and a spot removal. And of course, the typical big package of various different counter spells, as well as some really fast mana rocks, especially we need to have a bunch of them to make that Hullbreaker horror functional. But also, these rocks are great when you're trying to sculpt a victory with your necropotence. And a total land count of 27. But there are other options of how you could potentially build this. You could go for food chain. If you have food chain in play and one of your food chain creatures, you can gain infinite creature mana and you can cast this infinitely. Which means the same way as Hullbreaker horror. Suddenly you get your Underworld Breach or your Necropotence. So basically Food Chain will assemble the Necropotence package or Underworld Breach package for, not the package, but those enchantments for you. But there's a problem with this, or well, to explain better, the reason we didn't go for that is because the Food Chain creatures are dead cards and we wanted to avoid as many dead cards as possible because the aim was not to be reliant on this commander. As you might have noticed, we don't have Fierce Guardianship or Deflecting Sword inside this build, neither Mox Amber, because we don't see a world where we're going to get this commander into play that often in most of the games. We are including Hullbreaker horror because it's quite easy to make that creature into a functional combo, because all you need is some of these already good on their own artifacts to make infinite mana, so to say. But the core focus of this deck is basically a 5-color Grixis good stuff deck that is focusing on enchantments to make a burst card draw effect when this commander comes into play. So how good is this commander actually? What's the win rate going to potentially be? Well, first and foremost, it's a 5-color commander and is going for the best of the best combos currently. That is proven to be very functional. So straight up, it's probably going to be quite good in general. And trying to avoid being commander centric is kind of recommended in general. And compared to being stuck on Grixis, you do get access to a lot of cards in general, like Grixis can't play Cooling Ritual, a card they definitely would love to play if they could. With the color identity of white, we get access to Sevin's Reclamation, which is key with your intuition package together with that Underworld Breach. Green also offers you crop rotation, and that means emergency zone, so that you can improve the potential of your Necropotence and Necrodominance combo. And we definitely should highlight that Wizard of the Coast are definitely going to print more enchantments in the future, which is definitely going to improve the potential of this commander as well. For example, Dance of the Many is a copy effect similar to Flesh Duplicant, and if they make more versions or other variations of enchantments that can come into play as copies of other creatures, that is going to be a huge improvement, because copying and cloning Docksides is really good. I can also see a world where they are printing more value enchantments that are great on their own, like this Smothering Tide, Heuristic Studying, Compost, as well as other potential spot removals like Touch the Spirit Realm. So I think that the chance of making this commander into a huge card draw effect, similar to how Traxa and the 5-color Niv-Mizzet Dragon works, is quite potential. But stay away from all the room things. It's very easy to go tribalistic. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, link in the description below of this video to Josh Decklist and the PUNT podcast on Spotify. Take care guys, and I'll see you in the next one.